Robotics, are we doing it correctly? Are we moving to a fully autonomous manufacturing which no operators are required? So futuristic like what you see in the movies? So, this is what I'm going to discuss today. My name is Zen from HoST under Sonapa Group. We represent MIR, which is an autonomous mobile robot. Also, we are the distributor for Hanwha Robotics in Singapore. I dare not say that we are the experts in robotics, but we have quite a lot of experience in deployment of robotic solution. Today, I will share a little of our experience and common questions users always ask. Some customers tell me, Zen, I want this solution to replace all my operators. I will tell them it is not possible, at least as yet. They can provide an assistance to lighten the load, but not replace them totally. Humans have eyes and reflexes which a robot cannot mimic. Robotics are good in replacing repeatable and manual tasks. The keyword here is repeatable and manual. Any task which requires nimble hands and do not have a standard definition of determination, it cannot be replaced by robotics. So what I mean is, for example, a line which produces chocolates like Ferrero Rocher. A lot of us have seen a Ferrero Rocher chocolate before. It is a hazelnut chocolate wrapped in golden foil. You want the robotic system to pick out the defective chocolates from the production line. We want to determine which chocolate is good or bad. In manufacturing, we call it pass or fail. The ones which is not round and the crushed hazelnut coating is not fully coated. Yes, we can use vision technology like camera systems to determine the robot, and the robot to pick it out easily. We can use robotic arms or Cartesian robots like what you see in the picture to pick out the defective chocolates. This example has a standard of determination. Roundness can be gauged by radial deviations from the center of the chocolate. If it's above a certain threshold, it is not round. For the amount of crushed hazelnut coatings, we can use vision pixels of the color contrast percentage to determine how much the chocolate is coated. Once picked, it can be discarded or recycled. This is quite commonly used in the F&B industry. On the note of Dfinity Determination, applications which has a lot of randomness and unable to have clear standard to define, it is not recommended to replace by robotics. Yes, you may have AI algorithms, machine learning to determine, but most of the time it might not be worth it as it will be too expensive and it takes too much resources to do data mining. So we need to weigh the costs and benefits of these solutions. A battery recycling operator came to us and want us to replace the operators pushing the bins full of batteries and empty the bins into a de-wrapper machine to strip off the wrapper of the batteries. The bins are of all different shapes and sizes, as the collection bins are from many different vendors. They say they can't change the bins as it belongs to them. The factory floor is also too small to automate the transfer from the random bins into the main bins before transportation to the de-wrapper machine. Also, there is little workspace, much so for the robots to maneuver. So this randomness is something that the robot have difficulty to cater for. Can all operators be replaced? Not so as yet. Technology is coming up fast. I believe that these technology advances will help to solve these limitations. Another statement which I hear from customers, I want to change all the production line to fully automated. This is one that we get quite often. We have these applications before. The user is a fish farm which rears and breeds seafood for human consumption. The user asks us to provide robots which can go to every tank and feed the fishes, use AI camera to observe the fish activities. If there are any fish that is inactive, it will give you an alarm, estimate the weight and size of the fishes, take water sample from the tank, and also double up as a security robot at night to patrol the place. All these are doable by robotics, definitely. Our advice to him is to have a proper steps to approach these applications and not do it all at once. Sure, the design of the solution will need to keep in mind all the different applications required, but we can break it into bite size and take it a few at a time. We suggest to mimic this method called Agile Methodology, which is widely used in software development and use it on robotics deployment. Our main aim is to come up with the minimal viable product or MVP. This will take more than an hour to go through every single step, but I'll go through the key points. Briefly, we need to start with our eyes and see and collect the use cases which the user wants to automate with robotics and come up with functional requirements. Like example, I want the robot to go to each tank and feed the fish. This is one functional requirement. You can come up with many different functional requirements and prioritize them to see which are more important than the rest. After the functional requirements are collected, we move to the build sprint process, which will start from the build backlog process where features and priorities are stated. Features like, I need to feed the fish with dry and wet food. You need to spread the food evenly while feeding. We will design the nozzle to propel the food from the robotic arm and cater to different dry and wet food for feeding. There will be many features to each functional requirement. Then we go back and review the stakeholders on each of the features. After confirming it can be achieved, we update the backlog. During the solution review process, stakeholders will update the management if these features are aligned with the dollars and cents. Some features can be very costly. If not, the cycle continues. After all this is done, we start off with the minimal viable product, or in some cases, people call it proof of concept, POC. This will need to be able to scale to many in order to meet the customer's requirements. This creates a very systematic way to introduce robotic solution and not having what we call white elephants. I have seen a few autonomous robots on a production floor before, which is parked at the corner and not moving. I asked the engineers, why? And they told me that the robot always got lost and need people to push the bins or the robot around. It became a liability rather than an asset to the plant. So it comes down to understanding limitations, proper design, and having standard steps of deployment. So, the key takeaway. I want you to leave with this today that robotics still cannot replace all operators, but it can replace repeatable and manual tasks. Also, using Agile methodology on robotics, developing the minimal viable product first and scale later is key to ensure that robotics work for you as an asset rather than a liability. Lastly, for all industries, it is time to start exploring robotic solutions and embrace Industry 4.0. If you keep doing what you are doing, you will keep getting what you are getting. You may look for HoST as a partner for your journey for robotics, and you can look for us in our company LinkedIn account. Thank you.